The Unhappy Hour on TheNewAmericanMedia.com.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way Galaxy, my name's Brian Engelman, and this is The Unhappy Hour on the TNAM network at TheNewAmericanMedia.com. I appreciate each and every one of you for participating and joining us on this 8-year journey. Real quick note before we get into our special guest, Zak Baris. We're going to cover the 2019 Cavaliers draft and talking about the number 5 pick, Darius Garland, the number 26 pick, Windler, and number 30, Kevin Porter, who was traded twice. We're going to break it all down. I want to first thank each and every one of you who has taken a moment to crowdfund and donate to what we're doing. We've had over 1,183 videos over 8 years that we've put out on YouTube, and just this past week we had over 100 of them demonetized. Yeah, we do cover politics, but we also cover current events, we cover music, we cover science, we cover sports, and we had a science video that was used on the Discovery Channel on outrageous acts of science, demonetized, no apparent reason. We had a hand-pan drum video that we were at a convention and we met with somebody, sat down and talked music. That was demonetized. Several sports videos have been demonetized. No reason, along with current events and political stuff. So the censorship is real. The deboosting, the demonetizing is real. I put in a lot of time. I put in a lot of hours with the Unhappy Hour and the New American Media. I've never asked you for anything other than to maybe share it if you like it, comment it, and invite your friends if you enjoy what we're doing. And over 8 years, I think a lot of you have. So there's two things you can do to help. You can go to patreon.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. If you like what we're doing, you can subscribe. I haven't had any success with it yet. I have a patron, and we've put content, and we still haven't been paid, so I don't know about that. The one thing I do know that works is PayPal. So if you would like to make a donation, that would be greatly appreciated. It'd be sent to Fuzz Installment, FUZZINSTALLMENT, Fuzz Installment at yahoo.com. We've had several people donating and contributing and saying F YouTube, and this is because YouTube is messing with you and taking your money away. And it's gone down, I don't know, 2,000%. We used to make a significant amount of revenue from that site, and now just about nothing. So thank you to the fans out there who appreciate the work that we're doing. We have lots of different groups, so thank you for joining us. Right now, I'm going to go to Zak Baris, and we're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers draft. We did have a chance to talk yesterday about Darius Garland, so we're going to break it up into pieces, talk Darius, and then we're also going to talk about Windler and Kevin Porter as well. So we'll get him on the horn here and see what's going on. Type your questions below in the Facebook group, The Unhappy Hour Sports Show. Join that group if you haven't joined it yet. I'll try to get to your questions.
Hello.
Hello, Zak. Thanks for joining us today. How are you, sir?
Good. How about yourself?
I'm living the dream. I just kind of gave the intro, and I'm going to kind of explain to you how it's going here. You and I had a chance yesterday to talk about Darius Garland, but maybe in a minute, 90 seconds for the people that missed it yesterday, give us what you think about the pick, why you liked it, and then we're going to obviously move on to Windler, Kevin Porter, and we're going to talk about what the Cavs did in the rest of their 2019 draft. So first off,
I'm a big fan of Darius Garland. I have been for a while now. He's got a lot of potential. He's got a sky-high ceiling. The Cavaliers obviously thought enough of him to, pair him with Colin Sexton. It wasn't the one thing I love about the Cavs draft. They took the guy with the highest potential in the draft with the highest ceiling, and they didn't mind that they already had a point guard on the roster. Don't forget, the Cavaliers did the exact opposite in 2012 with Dion Waiters when they already had Kyrie Irving on the roster and didn't take Damian Lillard, who was a far superior player to Dion Waiters, but they didn't want to mesh and, they were afraid of pairing the two together. So This gives you in the perspective where the Cavs are right now. I'm not saying that Colin Sexton is a top-tier point guard. I'm not saying that at all. But it just shows no matter what they think of Sexton, it just shows you what they think of Darius Garland here. They took the player with the highest ceiling in the draft with the number 5 pick who was available. They didn't take a guy who caps out low. They took a guy with a really high ceiling. That's why I like the pick.
And I'm very okay with that. And I mean, weren't you saying that you could see? I don't know. Maybe I'm confusing you because I have so many conversations about these topics. But were you saying that you could see Colin operating a little bit more of a shooting guard and having Garland more of a point guard? How do you see it playing out specifically? Do you see him?
I think I could see that. Yes, I could see that. I could see them doing, I could see them with Sexton at the 2 guard. It all depends. Both of them are technically undersized to be two guards, so it'll be kind of different. They have a lot of point guards in this roster. Jordan Clarkson, I do expect to be moved relatively soon.
Oh.
Just because I'm not saying he will be moved, but here's the thing: he's in the final year of his contract. He'll have value in a trade. Expect the Cavaliers to grab picks for him and trade him and move them while they can, and take on another bad contract conceivably to land some extra picks. That's all I'm saying.
You think he could fetch you a late first-round pick, maybe?
I think he could fetch a first-rounder. It also depends what you take in a trade. Him on his own, is he just going to get that? Probably not. If you're willing to take a decently bad contract back or a contract with an extra year that's not expiring, then yes, I would.
And can you talk for a second about the Cavaliers' cap status? I'm seeing these reports, and it just looks like we are paying a lot of money to have a bad team.
They are, but they're doing it so they can acquire assets. It's the same thing they did in 2010. You don't need the cap, and you're not planning on signing anyone right now anyway. So, you're going for asset based until you can really hit the free agency market in 2 to 3 years.
So you don't think we have any interest in the free agency market? We're just not at that phase of the rebuild.
No, they're not at that stage right now. You're still in a rebuild. You still want to have a top 10 pick next year. Mm-hmm. You still want to suck.
Right.
Again, the NBA, the Cavaliers can easily get themselves into purgatory. That's not where they want to be, though. It's you want to build the model that a Milwaukee built or a Philadelphia built or even Boston, amassing draft picks, trading older talent while you can. That's not going to get you anywhere, and that's the move you need to make.
Right. Yeah, and that does make sense for sure. And then as far as the other assets that we have, do you see any other players that might be moved? I mean, you think Tristan, JR, if you were guessing?
I think you'll see J.R. Smith move, but I think the time to move him was on draft night, so I don't know if it's plausible now. Mm-hmm. But I still can see him being moved.
Okay. Well, we'll see how it works out with Darius Garland and going to the Cavaliers. You were saying before the draft you were hoping he would be there at 5. And I guess in hindsight, do you think that trade opened up the possibility that Garland would be there, or do you think if the Pelicans had picked, he might have come off the board? If you were just throwing darts and guessing, I guess, because you're trying to get.
The Pelicans already have Drew Holiday, and they also have they've got Drew, and they have Lonzo Ball on the roster. So I'm not sure they would have taken him.
Right.
I think that's why they made the trade.
Because they liked him and just it didn't make sense for him, so you might as well acquire more assets. Okay, great. Well, let's do this. Let's now talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers' second pick in the 2019 draft. Obviously getting Darius Garland at number 5. They went with Dylan Windler. What do you think of this gentleman coming in? He looks to be a shooter.
To be honest with you, I haven't watched any film on him.
Okay.
To be completely honest. I know a lot more, about some other players, especially about Porter, than I do with
Windler.
I do with.
With Dylan Windler. Well, I'll tell you this much. I did have a chance to watch some of the film, and my quick reaction, obviously, I think he dropped 35 in the March Madness tournament and did some damage, and he looked pretty lethal from long range. Obviously, I haven't had a chance to see every one of his games, and I didn't study too much of his defense. But what I saw is he reminded me of a Golden State Warriors type player with all of the screens, all of the running around to get open and to pop the shots once he does. He has a very quick release, and he has a lot of range. So, he's definitely a shooter. I've seen him drive it to the hole. He could dunk it. He could get the lay in the and ones. So, I don't know. I'm intrigued. He looks like he's an offensive threat for sure, and the Cavs could certainly use some more offense.
The problem he's got off the court problems. That's Porter's problem. But otherwise, he could be a really serviceable NBA player.
Well, I was talking about Windler there. Let's do this. Let's move to Kevin Porter.
Hey, Brian, I'm gonna have to call you back. I'm getting another call, and we're gonna have to do this later. I apologize.
No, that is fine. To be continued, Zach.
Okay.
All right. There goes Zach. Now, what I want to tell you about Kevin Porter is he's a player that has a lot of high side. He has a lot of ceiling potential. This is a player that was, seemingly caught up in some bad decisions. He was suspended by his team. Let me go ahead and pull this up. I'm kind of going off the top of my head now, but let me pull up an article here where I can talk to you a little bit about what we know about him. Powerfully built. This is from, where are we at? NBA.com. Powerfully built athletic guard who flashed dominant scoring. Sorry, the page is loading. That's annoying. Okay. Dynamic scoring ability in an injury-shortened season at USC. He was an immediate starter at Rainier Beach High School in his native Seattle, Washington. Porter emerged as a prospect early in his career, but steadily improved into a consensus top 35 player in the high school class of 2018. Coming off the bench, missing several games over the course of the season with quad and ankle injuries. The freshman finished the season 9.5 points, 4 rebounds per game while shooting 41% from beyond the arc, putting points in on the board in impressive fashion on most nights. All right, career analysis, personal. Well, no, see, I want to get to something else. I wanted to get to... Let's look him up. Hang on a second. I want to talk about some of his deficiencies. Yeah, I guess we could talk about this one. Let's go through this, The Ringer. Let me skim this. Kevin Porter Jr., this is from The Ringer. Kevin Porter Jr. overcame his father's death in the streets of Seattle just to make it to the precipice of the NBA. But will the talented USC freshman become the next James Harden or an uneasy fit for pro systems? Is he one of the best talents of his class or a late first rounder? Meet the biggest enigma of the 2019 draft. Could always play one-on-one. Let's talk about what he's been through. Grew up hard. He was here we go. Kevin Porter Sr. was charged with first-degree murder at 19 and the point-blank shooting death of a 14-year-old girl. The lone witness later recanted a statement that the shooting was intentional, and Porter Sr. was sentenced to 4.5 years in prison for first-degree manslaughter. Jeez. Served his sentence and became a young father, but tragedy struck again. Porter Jr.'s mom, Ayanna, oh boy, his mom was shot 5 times and killed at a bar when his dad was trying to help someone who was getting beat up when Porter Jr. was just 4 years old. That's why he wears number 4. Jeez. Soon after he arrived at USC on a basketball scholarship, one of his assistant coaches, Martin Bahar, referred to him as just Kevin Porter in conversation. Porter Jr. immediately cut him off, Junior. His Instagram captions often end with the hashtag RIP Big KP. And there's a picture of his father. At first, I didn't make the connection with Kevin because Kevin was so young, Crawford says, but once I found that out, I was more drawn to him because I knew that there wasn't a man in the house. Porter's mom picked up as many jobs as she could. Crawford and those around Porter Jr. helped keep him close to basketball and out of the dangerous streets of South Seattle. Keenan Oliver, a local semi-pro basketball player and Porter Jr.'s mentor, says if you're not on a straight path while living in that area, you're going to become a statistic. Jerry Petty, one of Porter's AAU coaches, would notice that he would spend a lot of his time at the Boys and Girls Club. Quote, I just know that basketball was his outlet from having those kinds of trials and tribulations in his life. To be able to utilize his skills and his talent, I would just say to have a release. Porter showed signs of advanced talent as early as 4th grade. He'd give him the ball and say, give me 30 every game. Here, if you don't play basketball, you're gangbanging because you need that protection, Oliver says. Even on a sunny day, it might look nice, but the inner workings, man, it's a wasteland. So he goes off to Rainier Beach High School where his dad played, and along with that came expectations. He was a good athlete, baseball player too. Porter Jr.'s drive overcompensated for what he may have lacked in skill, and that's why I told Kevin, if he had his dad's motor, they might be picking between him and Zion for 1 and 2. Now that's some high praise out of this kid. The Rainier Beach coach didn't have to impose his advice on Porter Jr. too much because Crawford was always likable when he needed to talk. If Porter got too emotional after losses, like he did his senior year against Garfield High, Crawford would sometimes be the one to calm him down, give him new shoes, and even advice about girls. Perhaps most importantly, he held the blueprint for someone on how someone from Seattle could go far if they focused on basketball. By the time USC assistant Jason Hart saw Porter in an AAU tournament in Vegas in 2017, he had the look of a future pro. Quote, he had the ability to get from point A to point B when he felt like it, and then he was able to explode athletically in traffic. That was elite. That's something that we didn't teach him. That was like God-given talent. And when you see God-given talent, that's that one-and-done type stuff. That's NBA type stuff. So what they're talking about here is they're talking about players that have it. Players that have that, I guess in Hollywood they call it the it factor, the star factor. They have it. And I guess on a basketball court, you can see it. Zion Williamson has it. Not everybody has it. This kid has it. And don't forget, the pick was traded twice at number 30, and the Cavs really wanted to pick it up. So Porter leaves Seattle for Los Angeles in the fall. This is last year, choosing USC over the other Pac-12 schools. But this was a tough Trojan season. He missed 9 games with a quad contusion, returning only to be suspended for an undisclosed conduct issue. So, I want to find out more about what the undisclosed conduct issue is from Kevin Porter Jr., now the Cleveland Cavaliers. He returned in the last 3 games of the season, but overall he missed 12 of the 33 games, averaging only 22 minutes a game, 9.8 points, 4 rebounds, 1.4 assists. He never had the consistency to develop or show off the full extent of his talents. Back in Seattle, Oliver noticed that Porter was struggling at USC. Their text chains got longer. Oliver says Porter, who did not respond to interview requests, expressed concern about how he wasn't fitting in with the team the way he had envisioned. Oliver says this was just a bump in the road. That kid has a powerful weapon and that he believes in himself, he says. And this is important for any kid. Write down your goals. When Porter was 10 years old, Oliver encouraged him to write down his goals, looking as far as 15 years into the future. Even back then, by the way, I guess it's important to say you should write down your goals. I won't show you, but I have pages. I probably have 40 pages. It's a to-do list, but it's a goals list. It's a reminder of the things that need to be done, the things you want to get done. But when Porter was 10, he was encouraged to write down his goals, looking as far as 15 years into the future. Even back then, he knew what he wanted: to get good grades, to start on Rainier Beach's varsity team, win a state title, earn a D1 scholarship. Oliver says he told him he needed a plan B. Kevin disagreed. Now, he's on the precipice of his final goal: be a one-and-doner and play in the NBA. Okay, I don't need to know that he wears Crocs. Porter shuffles forward and steps back like he's a sped-up square dancing class, seeing shades of James Harden. The tendencies are raw and not as precise, but watching him is like seeing film of Harden slowly develop. So I'm going to click on a link here. I guess you guys can't watch. Oh, yeah. Big step back. Big step back. Pop up from mid-range. All right, good rebounding, good eye for the ball on a dunk. I'm kind of learning about him in real time. It would be better if you guys could watch him, but all right, driving the lane, kicking it out. Decent pass. Knew where his teammates are going to be. Off the screen, pulling up long mid-range shot. I don't like all the long mid-range shots. The NBA is all about not doing that. Shoot the darn 3 or drive it. Don't be stuck in the middle. Lots of long-range, mid-range, long 2-point shots. All right, he's got handles, right-handed, left-handed. Nice alley-oop right there. Dished it out. He's got good court vision. Fake the 3. But then once again, he's just settling for a lot of these long 2-pointers. All right. Pass out, gets the rebound. Up and under. Probably should have drawn the foul there. Watching some highlight footage of him against Stetson. Long mid-range jumper. Hey, just not a super big... All right, running the fast break. What do we... Up and over his head for a nice over his head dunk a la J.R. Smith in the NBA Finals with the Cavs. Driving and dunking. All right, yeah, he's got explosiveness. When he turns it on, he's faster than everybody on the court. So I'm going to like some of this. Nice block, too. All right, he's got a bit of a well-rounded game. This is just from one game. Porter saying, I couldn't ask for a better comparison talking about James Harden. He's unguardable. Harden's deceleration is one of his best attributes. Nobody goes from 100 to 0 better than him. Former coaches say Porter has shown the same ability to change speeds on the fly and attack a defense's weak spots. Harden, of course, is now a master of the technique. Porter is still a pupil. But with his 6'9" wingspan, natural athleticism, and flair, he projects as an exciting one-and-done scorer, a skill that Harden has used to revolutionize the NBA. What's this clip here? Mute this. All right. Watching Porter with the ball at the top. Whoa. All right. Took it from the top of the three-point line all the way in for a two-handed dunk. I don't know why they put that there, because I think they were talking about stopping on a dime, but I digress. Everyone stresses ball movement throughout the course of an 82-game NBA season, but then when the playoffs come, things get really tight. It comes down to individual players and having teammates that could play off them. It's less about ball movement and more about player movement. The longtime veteran recounts how throughout his career, the toughest players he's had to guard were lefties with unique games. Ginobili, Van Exel, and Harden. Porter, he says, has a similar profile. You have to be wired to see it, to listen, to hear it, to understand it, and execute quicker than others. So before Harden perfected it, the tools were all there. And they're seeing this with Porter. Porter's taller than Harden by an inch, the same size as Booker. If he's deployed more of his new age point guard, he can leverage his size against smaller defenders. And with the floor speed spaced more in the NBA, he can use his shifty moves to drive to the rim. He's tall and he's got the vision to make passes, thread the needle. That's the one thing people haven't seen much of yet. He can get you a bucket whenever you want, but also when he comes off a ball screen, he can make some great reads. His talent's undeniable, even in its nascent stages, but he's acknowledged that you need more than talent to be successful in the NBA. A lot of people say I'm one of the most talented in the draft, telling reporters in May after a workout with the Heat, but they have a lot of red flags in my character, and I've just been working on that, trying to improve off the court and show them that they can trust in me. When looking back on Porter's journey, you can't help but think that it's a miracle he's here after so many difficult moments. Porter is aware of the life-altering moment that's now just a day away. Obviously, this came out before the draft, and how it will change his family's future after a tumultuous past. They've talked about the possibility of running a youth program that Porter wants to start. It's not one of the goals he wrote down when he was 10 years old, but now that those are nearly all crossed off, it's time to add new ones. So, I was hoping to get into it a little bit more with Zach. One of the things to look at, Bol. Hey, I just kind of kept wondering, is he going to be there when the Cavs pick? And, of course, he was there, and at 26, they went with Dylan Windler. And then at 30, moved up and had another shot. It wasn't to get Bol. It was to get Kevin Porter Jr. So we got a lot of guards now. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Cleveland Cavaliers moving forward with this youth movement to try to rebuild this roster. And like Zach said, maybe move Jordan Clarkson, maybe move J.R. Smith, start dumping some salary, building some assets up again, and kind of restocking the cabinets. It kind of takes 3 to 4 years to gut things and go on a run again. In a way, it's unfortunate we got Kevin Love locked up in there. I'm sure he doesn't mind. He likes it here. He won a title here. He's loved. He's making great money. But, we're not really surrounding him with talent that's ready to win right now. But that is the reality of the Cavaliers. So the fun part is we get to watch these players develop and hopefully blossom into really successful, top-notch NBA players. So while we're not competing for championships right now, it is nice to know. I kind of feel like it's nice to know that we're on track to cycle through and then have a new renaissance. Now, obviously, had we landed the number 1 pick with Zion, maybe things would be different. And Kobe Altman is not David Griffin. But hey, we'll see. He just had 3 swings here to get some talent. Draymond Green came at the number 35 pick. Kawhi came at 15. So you never know how a draft is going to play out until a couple years down the road. We'll see how these players develop. And the new Cavaliers head coach, he's known for developing players. So we'll see. We'll see if we're going, like Zach said, he liked that the Cavs took the players with the highest ceiling. And with the highest ceiling, you hope that under the right ideal circumstances, you're going to get the most out of them. If you're taking somebody just to fit a position and, we need a center. We need a power forward. Just take this guy. I don't know. He's serviceable, maybe. I don't know. Just take him. He's the best power forward out there. Well, the goal is to take the player with the highest potential to dominate. Because it's a league where, one player is 20% of the game. Of course, offense being 10%, defense being 10%. But each player can impact 20% of the game. They're 1/5 of a squad, of a starting unit. So it's really important. You have 11 in football. That's less than 1/10. What was that, 1/8? So no matter how good one player is, you still need a lot of others around you. But in basketball, you have 1, 2, you get that 3 together. Like LeBron did with Kyrie and Kevin Love. Like Boston did with Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Paul Pierce. Maybe what LeBron's trying to do with Anthony Davis. We'll see if the GM screwed it up where they can't get another max player. We'll see. It's very important to team up a couple of people and lock them in for a few years. That's the time to go for your run. I mean, we have Kevin Love. Kevin Love is a legit player. He's a very good player. I don't know. How quickly can these players develop and turn us into buyers instead of sellers? I don't know. But that is the dynamics, the mathematics of running an NBA franchise, of running any franchise, really. Look at the Browns. The Browns had to lose every single game to completely clear out the cabinets, clear out the pantry. No canned food, no boxes of cereal. I mean, you're down to dust. A couple pieces of rigatoni that fell out of the box. Nothing. Then you can fill it back up. So right now the Cavs do have a bloated payroll. We do have a lot of players making a lot of money, and we are in a youth movement. But they saw something in Kevin Porter Jr. that they liked. So I'm excited. I'm excited in the respect that the future is happening. Getting a couple more guards when we already took Sexton last year. I'm not going to let that bother me. I'm not going to worry about that, about the position of the players. I'm just going to have to trust that there's a plan in place. Now, in a couple years, we'll know. Has there been a plan in place, or are they just throwing darts? I don't know. But in a way, in a very tangible way, that is the fun of following a young team. The fun is in being there from the beginning. Watching remember the 1990s Indians? Watch them come of age in 95, 94, 95, 96, 97. Going to World Series, 2 World Series out of 3 years, 2 years in a row. In 95, 97, 2 out of 3 years is what I meant. Bell, Baerga, Lofton, Ramirez, Alomar, Vizquel. Jeez. So many good players. It's fun watching them come up together and then taking over the league. Unfortunately, the Indians weren't able to bring a championship, hence the unhappy part of the unhappy hour. But it sure made for great times. Best record in the league a couple times. Same with those Cavs teams, the early LeBron teams that couldn't get it done. Best record in the league, couldn't get it done. But the Cavs picked Darius Garland at 5, Dylan Windler at 26, Kevin Porter Jr. at 30. I gave you my thoughts. Darius Garland was, like Zach said, probably the player with the highest ceiling there. Let's plug him in and get him playing as quickly as possible. Dylan Windler, a lot of pick and pop, but he can drive. He can finish. He has some explosiveness. Really reminds me of Clay and Steph dancing around the three-point line, grabbing quick release, deep, long-distance three-point range. So we'll see what kind of player Windler is going to work himself into. And then Kevin Porter Jr. Hey, young man, if you get a chance to see this, let me just tell you. I can't put myself in your shoes, and, it's a fruitless endeavor to try to do such a thing anyway. But you can put that chip on your shoulder and then put your other chip on your other shoulder. Your family life has been tumultuous. That undisclosed incident that got you suspended at USC. I don't know what that was about. But what I do know is this. Cleveland, you haven't done anything bad in Cleveland. Nothing bad to you has happened in Cleveland. Cleveland has been nothing but good to you right now. All that other stuff, that's from a previous chapter. Actually, that brings me to an interesting point. I'm going to be doing a show with Jeff Laird on Monday, and we're going to be talking about the Judeo-Christian ethic of America and how in 2019 we're moving away from that. We're moving away from the theory of redemption. Kyle Kashuv, one of those school shooting survivors, he's been on the conservative speaking tours. He was accepted to Harvard, and they rescinded his acceptance to Harvard because something from a private chat room was leaked somewhere, and he said offensive things. And so Harvard they revoked the scholarship. And so what I'm going to talk with Jeff about is the Judeo-Christian concept of forgiveness, of redemption, of the fact that, we all fall short of the glory of God. We all lack perfection. We are not infallible humans. And if you take away a person's opportunity to reform themselves, to grow, to become better, then what are you left with? And so I talked with Jeff off air, and we're talking about the pagan religions versus the Judeo-Christian difference of, I'm really excited for this show. It'll be on Agree to Disagree. I don't know if we'll do it live or we'll pre-record. Maybe I'll go live on Agree to Disagree or the YouTube channel, youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Please click subscribe, by the way. But Kevin Porter Jr., this is your chance for redemption. We don't really know about all that stuff that happened, whatever it was. And it's really not any of our business. And that was all stuff that happened before we're getting you. So we're getting you now. Welcome to Cleveland. Leave all that stuff in the past. Set it up on a shelf. I'm not saying it didn't happen. Not saying it's not relevant. Not saying it's not important. But put it in a shoebox. Look at it. Acknowledge it. Say thank you for the life lessons that this taught me. Put the lid on the box, set it up on the shelf. It's always going to be there, but you don't need to look at it every day. You don't need to deal with it every day. And you don't need to throw it out and pretend it didn't happen. But you can put it away. You can tuck it away up on the shelf and not let it hamper your present moment. What you have right now is a chance to be an NBA player and to keep your nose clean and to make a lot of money doing it. To change the outcome of your family. There's generational wealth that can be accrued if you play in the National Basketball Association. And Kobe Altman and the Cleveland Cavaliers believed in you enough to go and get you. You were traded twice after you were picked. Multiple teams wanted you. We went out and spent a lot of capital to go get you. Actually, I was hoping Zach was going to say that, but let me pull up the trade here. So I want to tell you exactly what the Cavs gave up. There we go. Cavs trade Kevin Porter. But it's Kevin Porter Jr. That's what we're supposed to say. All right. So this is from Cleveland.com. NBA Draft 2019. Cleveland Cavaliers trade for we trade up to get a third first-round pick, taking Kevin Porter Jr. at number 30. Let's read you this one real quick. The Cavaliers capped the first round of the NBA draft, trading with the Detroit Pistons for USC shooting guard Kevin Porter Jr., who the Pistons had acquired that selection earlier, and Tony Snell from the Bucks earlier this week. All right, hold on. Let's talk this one through. The Pistons acquired the number 30 pick and Tony Snell from the Bucks earlier in the week. Then the Cavs traded the Pistons for the pick. There we go. So, according to sources, the Cavs gave up what will likely amount to be 3 future second-round picks and cash for the talented but troubled lefty. Sources say the Cavs parted with a 2020 second-rounder from Utah, a 2021 and 2023 second-rounder from Portland, and Miami's 2024 second-rounder that only conveys if it's between 55 and 60. The Cavs also paid $5 million, which was an amount that was set to expire if they didn't use it. On June 9th, the Cavs held a private workout and meeting with Porter in Cleveland. Okay, here we go. The Cavs also met with Porter at the scouting combine. He is considered by at least one member of the Cavaliers front office as a top 10 talent in this year's class. Porter, who lost his father in '04, was suspended at USC for unspecified reasons and dealt with an injury that's believed to have hampered his play. I've been battling adversity my whole life, Porter says in an interview. It tests you, it makes you better. So there you go. That's what we gave up to go ahead and get this player. I'm intrigued. Because we really valued this guy. We're going to see plenty from Darius Garland, number 5 pick. Oh, and they're already selling Darius Garland and Dylan Windler jerseys if you want to go get some. So let's check it out. Exciting times for the Cavaliers. Obviously winning the championship and the letdown afterward. It's been tough. But we're on to a new era. And it started last night. So that's pretty cool. I want to thank you guys for watching. Thanks to Zach. I know he had a call coming in. He had to bounce a little quicker than I anticipated. But I hope you think I did a decent job filling in on the fly. Really on the fly. I didn't have the show prep ready for this at all. I think I did all right. Filling in, reading a few articles. But I appreciate you guys. I want to make sure you're in our private Facebook group. It's called The Unhappy Hour Sports Show, a support group. There's a sign behind us. Invite your friends. Indians, Cavs, Browns, Buckeyes, Blue Jackets centric, but we cover all things sports. The funnier, the better. The timelier, the better. We encourage a mostly civil conversation over there. YouTube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Please click subscribe and the notifications bell. And I'm going to be talking to you more real soon. There's a lot of stuff going on. The Cleveland Browns obviously getting ready to open training camp. Very excited for that as OTAs are, winding down, moving into Independence Day coming up here. Ooh, football's starting to get in the air. This was the time of year when I played for, in high school. And I was recruited. I was telling this story that I was recruited heavily by a few schools, Mount Union being one of them. Consistently a really good program. Not Division I, but really good. And a whole bunch of D2, D3 schools. I decided not to play. But I do miss it, and I do wonder sometimes if I should have played. I don't know. Can't go back and change it, so I'm not sweating it either. But because it did allow me. It allowed me to get into broadcasting and doing radio shows, and that's why I'm broadcasting today. I like to talk, and it's something that I've always enjoyed. So, but this time of year, June, July, you have the 2-a-day practices. You're getting up, you're sweating, you're working out, you're exhausted, you're running, you're hitting, you're tackling, you're learning, bonding with your teammates. It's just the best. Checking out the cheerleaders and the trainers. It's just a rite of passage. It's a wonderful time of the year. The heat gets almost unbearable, and you're out there hustling and working. And it's that work ethic. I don't care where you learn it, whether you learn it in your family, whether you learn it in the military, whether you learn it through sports, whether you learn it in a business. I don't care where you learn it, but you got to learn that hustle. You have to learn, that Gary V kind of hustle. And there's something very redemptive about sports. Sports is not just a kid's game and a bunch of babies making millions, and you could whine and say stuff like that and be really dismissive, but there's a lot of life lessons you can take from playing sports and coaching sports, covering sports, being an observer and a fan of sports, commentator of sports. It's a snapshot, if you will, of the rest of life. So I've always been a big fan, and that's why we do the Unhappy Hour. And like I said, we appreciate all of your support. All right, Danny. Well, I'll take a question. Take a question since you're there. Danny's asking, what position was I being recruited for? Well, I played in high school on 2 undefeated teams. We went 10-0 my junior year, 10-0 my senior year. My junior year, I was the 3rd defensive end. We had 2 all-state, all-conference, all-state defensive ends in Peterson and Prohaska. They were really good, and we were so good that usually by about the 3rd quarter, 4th quarter, I would come in and get a significant amount of the 3rd quarter to play against that team's starters and the 4th quarter. Then when it came time for senior year, I was a starting right defensive end, kind of like Myles Garrett. You go up against the best, most talented left tackle. That's usually with a right-handed quarterback, that's the blind side of the quarterback. So the best tackle is the left tackle, and I would go up against that left tackle as the right defensive end. And I think they screwed up the scoring. I'm not going to rehash it again, but I think they screwed up the scoring, and I really was our team leader in sacks that senior year. But I think I came in second place by 0.5 sacks. Fine, whatever. But I was a pretty good player on a very good team, a very well-coached team with some amazing talent. And I was getting recruited to play defensive end. I was getting recruited to play. I think they had me because I was, 5'10", 188 maybe when I was playing in high school. And I think they were projecting me as like an outside linebacker, maybe middle linebacker. Just kind of thinking my height, the size wasn't going to be right for right defensive end. So I think they were thinking outside linebacker, and that would have been a new position for me to play. But, in another way, football is just football. Learn the scheme and go make the plays. So, yeah, I was getting recruited for that. Although I did play special teams on that year we went to the state championship. I was on kickoff, kick return, and like I said, the second string defensive end. But I love it, man. Love the game. I love all the games. Played all of them. Basketball, football. Just a big fan. What else can I say about it? That's why I do the sports shows. That's why I bring this to you when I do, because I love it. I love everything about sports. So thank you for staying with me on this journey. I appreciate you. I love you. And we'll talk again soon. Take care. Peace.
It's the Unhappy Hour.